On a day where the Angels lose Mike Trout for the season, they also lose arguably their most heartbreaking game of the year. It does not get more Los Angeles Angels than that. We'll talk about the heartbreaking defeat on the heartbreaking day to be a Halos fan on tonight's edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast right now.
You are Locked On Angels Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Los Angeles, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, Halo Nation. Hello, Halo hopefuls. Hello, Postcast people. And welcome to the latest edition of the Locked On Angels Postcast, coming at you live, as always, from the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel. And today, a special day, because I'm also coming at you live from the Locked On MLB YouTube channel and the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel. So 3 times the YouTube channels we're coming live from, but also 3 times the amount of Angels pain today. Because not only do we get a loss, not only do we lose a series against the Colorado Rockies while at home, but we also lose our greatest player ever, certainly our icon of the modern era in Mike Trout. A sudden turn of events, and he is done for the season. Wow, what an unbelievably depressing, brutal day to be an Angels fan. And I promise you that this was not the plan when we decided to have me go live on 3 different streaming, YouTube channels today. We did not expect a Mike Trout injury to be announced. We did not expect the Angels to have their most brutal loss of the year. But in classic Hollywood, SoCal, LA fashion, for some of you national viewers, an absolute circus today with the injury, with the brutal loss, while it is a special day for the postcast. If you don't know who I am, and there's a good chance a lot of you don't because of the multiple channels I'm coming at you from today, I am Gavin Carlson. I spent 4 years as a credentialed journalist in the LA area covering UCLA sports for the Daily Bruin, and I am now, of course, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am the Angels postcaster. I see my usual postcast viewers from the Angels postcast here live. I appreciate you guys so much, but I appreciate the newbies as well. Shout out to all of you. And you got quite a game to listen to me talk about, because just somehow, some way, the Mike Trout injury will certainly be the most painful news of the day. But boy, does this game come close in terms of pain, in terms of brutality, in terms of heartbreak city for our Angels, because the Angels do lose 5-4 in extra innings. They're up 4-2, down to the last out of the game. Hunter Strickland, the new closer for the Angels after the deadline, with Carlos Estevez and Luis Garcia both being traded. And in just his second save opportunity, and when he's looking like he's going to be the closer for the near future, he blows it. He gives up a 2-run home run in the 9th inning with 2 outs in the 9th inning. Just 2 strikes away from winning the game. You can't make this up. You can't make this up. And then to make matters worse, we get to the top of the 10th inning, and Hans Crouse, who just a couple games ago was 4-0, who was the magic charm for an otherwise unmagical Angel season, who whenever he pitched, the Angels won. He's now lost 3 straight games, and this one the most brutal of all, because not on some great hit, not on a bad pitch, on a sac bunt attempt, Hans Crouse throws the ball into the dirt, throwing error, allows the run to score, and just absolutely sucks the few ounces of happiness, of energy, of, compassion for this Angels franchise. We lose it all. We lose it all. Just a heart-wrenching, brutal day. I'm going to keep saying it a billion times because, man, just absolutely sucks. On tonight's show, we will talk about the offense. It was not great. It was not terrible. A big home run day for both teams. 2 home runs apiece. Logan O'Hoppe and Mickey Moniak for the Angels, but it wasn't enough. It really looked like it was enough when it was 4-2 heading into the 9th, but not enough. We'll talk about that. We'll certainly talk about a solid start for Carson Fulmer. And I think a guy that really got robbed of a win, obviously statistically wise, but really the stats on his season don't tell you the story of how good he's been. And we will also talk about the collapse in the 9th inning and in the 10th inning. But before we do any of that, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's show. It is Game time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. And so we jump in to this ninth inning. The Angels are up 4-2. Like I said, I already gave you a quick rundown because, man, so much happened that I had to say it right away off the bat. But if you did not watch this game, even though this was the last game of the MLB slate tonight, and the Angels give the national broadcast, the national audience, who's maybe following this game, who maybe sees that this postcast is going live on multiple channels, maybe they tune in and they don't know. They know the Angels are 14 games under 500 coming in, but they don't know what the Angels' experience is. Well, boy, did we give it to them. Up 4-2. Like I said, Hunter Strickland comes in to replace Ben Joyce. And here is issue number 1. Hunter Strickland replaces Ben Joyce. It should be the other way around. As Skylar perfectly says in the comment section, Joyce needs to be the closer. He needs to be the closer. And not because Hunter Strickland's been terrible this year, and not because Ben Joyce has been stellar, although he kind of has, let's be honest. The ERA now under 2. But above all, this team is not playing for anything. This team is playing for the future. It's such an obvious, clear decision that needs to be made that your young, future, superstar reliever, who certainly will be the closer next year, with Estevez gone, with Garcia gone, with Strickland probably gone next year, Ben Joyce will be the closer. And let's be honest, this team does not win very often. This team is not in a situation to have a save opportunity very often. You're 47-62. So it's not like, oh, Hunter Strickland will get this chance, but hey, the next time Ben Joyce might get it. There's not that many next times. There's not that many left. Of course, there's probably going to be, 20 save opportunities left in the remainder of the season, maybe not even that many. And with each game that goes by, that Ben Joyce is not the closer, it is a huge missed opportunity for your young, bright flamethrower to have, imagine if this was Ben Joyce instead, coming in 4-2, on a brutal day for Angels fans, and imagine him coming through, shutting the door. It would give us a little bit of hope, an ounce of happiness as a Halos fan. Hey, we lost our superstar for the rest of the year. And honestly, this one feels like the fatal blow, and we'll get to Mike Trout. Somehow I didn't say it in the intro, but that will be the third segment, talking about Mike Trout, of course. But on a day where you lose Mike Trout, where there's it feels like the fatal blow maybe of his career, well, we don't know if he's ever going to be the same. And we are just down in the dumps as a fan base. Obviously, a win would have made you feel a little better, but especially a win. We're 2 young guys. Logan O'Hoppe, the future Mike Trout, hopefully, of this team, and Mickey Moniak both go deep. And then imagine if Ben Joyce comes in the 9th and gets a save. He throws 102. He throws that sinker. He locks the door. We earn a series win. It would have made, it would have been a D- day still, because the Mike Trout injury is just so brutal. But it wouldn't have been an F- day, an F- day. A literally, up for debate, one of the worst days in the modern Angels era. When you consider that Mike Trout is gone, when you consider that there's no future, it feels like, because of how deadly or disastrous the deadline was, and not capitalizing enough. And I don't need to rant about that again, because I've done it the last 2 shows. And we've got enough to talk about. But long story short, as Skylar says in the comment section, as most Angels fans would agree, if this team was trying to win the World Series this year, Ben Joyce at this point is already a better pitcher than Hunter Strickland. So he should already be the closer. But even now that's not the case. He is also the future of the bullpen. And Hunter Strickland definitely is not. So there is no reason, absolutely no reason, why Ben Joyce should not be the closer. And I just got to say one more thing about this. I'm not saying this because of how the game went. I promise you. I know some of you guys are not viewers that see me every day. You're not Angels fans. But the Angels fans that do watch, they know that I try to be 100% honest. That I could have taken victory laps all the way around about Rengifo getting hurt the day after they should have traded him. But I also know that I wasn't always saying trade Rengifo the same way I was for Taylor Wood or Tyler Anderson. Right? I tried to be honest. And I will be honest in saying that watching this game, in the 8th inning, the second Ben Joyce came on the mound, I'm thinking, why is he pitching in the 8th and not the 9th? I thought at the previous few games, when it was Luis Garcia and then Hunter Strickland. Why is it not Ben Joyce? Why? Before Hunter Strickland blows the save. That is the thought. So this is not being a Monday morning quarterback. This is not hindsight being 2020. This is common sense in the moment. And I have defended Ron Washington most of the season. The record does not show the coach, the manager, Ron Washington has been this year. It shows that this franchise, this roster is brutal. This franchise has the worst luck I've ever seen, the worst front office I've ever seen, the worst ownership, certainly, maybe other than the A's we've ever seen. So I've defended Ron Washington all year. But honestly, unless he's being told something else from the man upstairs, because we know that this owner in this front office controls way too much of this team, unless he's being forced to do so, there's no reason why Ben Joyce should not be the closer, regardless of how this game goes. But oh, by the way, Hunter Strickland blows it. He blows the save to make it just that much more fitting, that much more obvious, that much more brutal of a loss. If you did not watch the game, ninth inning, Angels up 4-2, a lead-off walk to Ryan McMahon. So right away, you're thinking Hunter Strickland, oh man, should he even be pitching? And now he gives up a lead-off walk. He strikes out Brendan Rodgers. He strikes out Michael Toglia, who had a great game, the UCLA alum, hit a home run, a 2-run shot off Carson Fulmer. Carson Fulmer's really only mistake of the game. But then with 2 outs, with the tying run up to bat, you know the one thing you can't do is fall behind. The one thing you can't do is fall behind in the at-bat, because the one thing you got to do is throw strikes when you're trying to avoid the game-tying home run. And what does Hunter Strickland do? The veteran. If this is Ben Joyce falling behind 3-0 when the only thing you can't do is fall behind 3-0, then you accept it. He's a young guy. This is the point of him pitching in this moment, or should be pitching in this moment. He's getting the experience. But Hunter Strickland, I know that you don't throw 100 anymore, like when you used to, when you were hitting Bryce Harper every time you played the Nationals as a member of the Giants. But the one thing you got to do as the veteran is be smart and not fall behind 3-0. A first pitch changeup, low. Then you throw a 1-0 fastball that almost catches the foot of Jake Cave. And then on 2-0, you throw a slider? Maybe you're thinking that you're clever here. Oh, 2-0, he might be swinging. So let me throw an off-speed pitch. But you miss, and it's not really close enough to even think about swinging. And so now it's 3-0. You get lucky that you throw a four-seamer right down the middle on 3-0 that he doesn't crush. But then, if you weren't confident enough in the fastball to throw it down 3-0, or down 2-0, excuse me, how in the world are you going to throw it back-to-back times down the middle on 3-0 and 3-1? It makes no sense. It's just bad pitching. Bad pitching from a veteran who, I'm not expecting to throw 100, but just have a smarter pitch sequence, please. But no, 2 fastballs right down the middle. The second one on 3-run against Jake Cave, he annihilates it. 106.8 exit velo, 412 feet. There was no doubt about it. Straight away center field, and the game is tied at 4. Just like that. And then in the 10th, like I said, don't even give us a second. We get to the 9th inning. We basically do nothing in the bottom of the 9th after you blow the lead. And then literally the first pitch of the 10th inning, a sac bunt from Sam Hilliard. Hans Crouse fields it. And we know, or at least the Angels fans know, that Hans Crouse has this long arm delivery when he pitches. But you don't got to have the long arm delivery when you're throwing the ball 20 feet over to first base. Instead, he has that long windup like he does when he's pitching, and he overthrows it into the dirt. Shanuel not able to make the play. It gets into right field. Shunk scores, and it's 5-4, and you lose the game in heartbreaking fashion. To make it even more heartbreaking, Taylor Ward, as the game-winning run, rips a line drive deep to left field that's just foul. That would have won it, but no, of course not. On a brutal day to be an Angels fan, it had to be as painful as possible. Just absolutely, positively brutal. It's just heartbreaking. It really is. And I promise that I am not this, I don't even know what the word is, existential, maybe, on every postcast. For the people that don't watch me every day, I am not this existential. I'm not this, oh my God, it's the end of the world on every single postcast. But tell me, if you are not an Angels fan, if you're a new person here, or if you are an Angels fan, tell me what other emotion you're supposed to have on a day like today, other than utterly deflated in every way. Just utterly deflated. Brutal loss. Mike Trout out, which we'll get to in greater detail in a couple breaks. It's just a brutal, brutal day. It really is. And drinking game, take a shot every time I say brutal. It's probably already been 100 at this point. We're going to take our first break here on this Locked On Angels postcast. When I come back, we'll talk about the first 8 innings. The Angels fall behind. The Angels offense, for one, shows some resilience and comes back. A couple home runs. You're up 4-2. We'll give Carson Fulmer his flowers because he really was robbed of a win after a great performance as he continues to exceed expectations. And then we'll talk about Mike Trout. You know we will. When we come back here, after a couple breaks here on the Locked On Angels postcast. Now, today's show is brought to you by a new sponsor. Just a lot of new stuff happening today. I'm on multiple channels, a new level of pain, and also a new sponsor. It's Liquid IV. And I got to say, before I get into the ad read, Liquid IV, I don't need a script in front of me to tell you that I love Liquid IV. I do. Like, unironically, I use it. I go to the gym every single day. I'm dehydrated all the time. I go on runs. Liquid IV is the way to go. It just makes you feel better. If you don't know what it is, let me tell you. When you're taking in America's pastime, even if it's the Angels, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor. A surefire summer hit. Now, I haven't even had that. That sounds amazing. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, Liquid IV. Because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Like I said, I use this all the time. It's just a powder. If you don't know what it is, you throw it in your water. If you don't know the benefits of electrolytes, there's so many. It makes you feel more hydrated than water does. So please, I highly recommend Tear, Pour, Live More. 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. Powered by LIV, Hydroscience, an optimized ratio of electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients that turn ordinary water into extraordinary hydration. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. And today's show is also brought to you by Supply House. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. So join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, the Locked On MLB YouTube channel, the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel, and after the fact, wherever you get the Locked On MLB daily podcast feed, the Locked On Angels daily podcast feed. So many avenues today to listen to this postcast, and so fitting. Once again, this is a perfect, not in terms of being an Angels fan, certainly, but in terms of production value, you couldn't have picked a better day to have the Angels postcast coming at you live from me, be shared on all these national avenues, because arguably the biggest day in years, in forever, for Angels fans, for the Angels franchise, and not in a good way. If you somehow missed the news, Mike Trout out for the year. Suffered multiple setbacks and apparently has re-torn that meniscus in his knee, and he will not play for the rest of the year, playing just 29 games this season. He's missed more games than he's played in the last 4 years. He has not played 120 games, since 2019. Some heartbreaking stats, some really, really heartbreaking stats. Before we get more into the Mike Trout news, because we certainly will talk about it in greater detail, we have to quickly talk about the remainder of this game. I spent the first 15 minutes of this postcast just talking about the last 2 innings Because, boy, it doesn't get more eventful than blowing a 4-2 game and then blowing it in the 10th. But if you didn't watch this one, or if you just forgot, the Rockies didn't waste much time again getting on Carson Fulmer and the Angels in the second inning. Carson Fulmer, who we will give him his flowers because he really does deserve them. He's really exceeded expectations most of the times he's come out to start. But he does suffer a setback in the top of the second inning. He gives up a one-out single to Brendan Rodgers, and then Michael Toglia, once again, the UCLA alum, hits a 2-run shot on a liner to center field. He hit it pretty well, 388 feet on an 0-1 fastball right down the middle. Kind of sounds similar to that Hunter Strickland home run that he gave up. But other than that, Carson Fulmer was great. And this is why he deserves his flowers. If you don't know, if you're not an Angels fan, this guy is a hybrid reliever starter. Certainly was not supposed to be in the rotation this year. But because of Patrick Sandoval being out, because of Reed Detmers, Chase Silseth being out, because of the brutal fill-ins in Zach Plezak and Kochowitz, and I'm blanking here, Davis Daniel, who's been okay sometimes, was good actually yesterday. But because of all of this, Carson Fulmer has been called upon to kind of have a career resurgence. In his career, he's got a 5.38 ERA, but in 2024, it's 3.69. And he has not given up more than 3 runs in a start in a month and a half. Like, he has been about as good as you can ask for. In the month of the month of June, the ERA was not good. It wasn't. The ERA in the month of June was 6.39. But in the month of July, 3.43. And so far, it's now down to 3.69 as he has a 3 runs that he gives up in this game. So Carson Fulmer deserves credit. And, no record will show you that he's been great. Even the 3.69 ERA probably does not do him enough justice because, once again, he's being called upon to do something he was not expected to do, and he's exceeded expectations. Tonight, just 3 hits. Obviously, one of them extremely costly, a 2-run home run. But still, 3 hits in 6 innings from Carson Fulmer. Just 1 walk. 8 Ks. It doesn't get much better than that. It really doesn't. Just 2 earned runs, 3 hits, 8 Ks. Obviously, the home run hurts, but he was great. He was great. Jose Quijada was solid, just 1 hit and a strikeout. Ben Joyce, kind of a roller coaster game for him. 2 on with nobody out in the 8th inning that he shouldn't have been pitching. We already heard me say that. But he gets away with one. He throws a sinker right down the middle. That's why you get a sinker, folks. If you don't know much about the Angels, Ben Joyce, in his first couple of appearances of 2024 coming up from the minors, he was throwing 103 fastballs, 4-seamers right down the middle, and he was getting roughed up. But now he throws a sinker at about 98, and even if you throw it right down the middle like he did, you get a double play out of it a lot of the times. So he has been great since he developed that sinker. He's turned into a 2-pitch pitcher, into a 4-pitch pitcher who primarily throws the sinker now, not the fastball, who, he doesn't throw 104 now. He throws 101 with the fastball. But I will certainly take it. And statistically wise, performance wise, it has worked. 1.93 ERA for Ben Joyce. It's why he should be the closer of the Los Angeles Angels and not coming in the 9th and letting Ben Joyce blow it. We'll talk quickly offensively about the Angels before we then go into this deeper conversation about Mike Trout. A pretty solid day. If you're looking at, the future of this team and obviously knowing that you're not trying to win a World Series and the priority is seeing the young guys play well, we got that tonight. We really did. Nolan Schanuel 1 for 4. We'll take it. The average is now over 254 for the first time in a while. So a 1 for 4 actually brings his average down when all year that was not the case. But still, 1 for 4, a walk as well. He scored a run. We'll take it. Michael Stefanik in for Anthony Rendon, who I see a comment about number 6, about Anthony Rendon. We'll get to that. We certainly will get to the comments later. Michael Stefanik in place for him and in place of Luis Rengifo, batting second. Bold decision by Ron Washington there, and it works out really, really well. 2 for 4, he's just like that, hitting 243. Taylor Ward, 1 for 5, 2 strikeouts. He's always going to give you multiple strikeouts. That's why you should have cashed in and gotten anything for him. But obviously the big guys of the night, Logan O'Hoppe, just 1 hit, just 1 for 5. But when you hit a 2-run shot, with the way the Angels play this year, home runs being the majority of the offense, we'll take it. We will take it. 2-run shot from him. Mickey Moniak, 2 for 4 with that solo shot as well. Love to see that. He's still hitting just 211, but we'll take it. Other than that, nothing great. Adele, 1 for 4, but Drury was awful. He's probably the worst baseball player I've ever seen in 2024. Brandon Drury blows. He is terrible, but a good offensive performance. You score 2 runs in the 4th. You score 1 run in the 6th. You score 1 in the 7th. Is 4 runs a lot? No. Is it a lot against the Rockies, who are no good? No. Is the magic number for the Angels typically 5, and he only scored 4? Yes. But at the end of the day, you're up 4-2 going in the 9th inning. It's not a great offensive performance, but it should have been good enough. And obviously the story of the game is the bullpen collapse in innings 9 and 10 from Hunter Strickland and Hans Crouse. We're going to take our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast, and when I come back, I'll read your comments as I always do, and a lot more comments today because we are on a lot more YouTube channels. And of course, we'll get into this painful, deep, important conversation about Mike Trout. Is this the beginning of the end for one of the greatest players in the modern baseball era? Excuse me. We'll talk about that and more after our last break here on the Locked On Angels Postcast. Now, today's show is finally brought to you by Game Time. Once again, another sponsor that I genuinely, absolutely love. If you somehow don't know, Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets is faster and easier. Here's the key with Game Time. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. There's killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. It's what makes Game Time the best place to get tickets, and it makes Game Time the place to take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. If you don't know what flash deals are, what zone deals are, what all-in pricing is, it's some of the best parts of Game Time. All-in pricing, it actually tells you the price after the fees, after taxes. It doesn't tell you that the ticket's $60 and then you go to hit buy and then suddenly it's $110 because of fees. It doesn't do that. It tells you the actual price. There's flash deals, there's zone deals. I told a story on a previous postcast. I literally, in a matter of 4 days, used Game Time 3 times to go to a New York Liberty game, a New York Yankee game, and a Chelsea soccer game in 2 different cities, by the way, in a 4-day span. And all 3 times, I bought the ticket on the way to the game and got it for about as good of a deal as possible. So please take the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Back here live on the Locked On Sports Los Angeles YouTube channel, the Locked On MLB YouTube channel, the Locked On Sports Today YouTube channel. This is the Locked On Angels Postcast. I am Gavin Carlson, and I am like many Halo fans tonight that is absolutely heartbroken. Not only do you blow a 4-2 lead and fall 5-4 in extra innings to one of the worst teams in baseball, proving that you are also one of the worst teams in baseball, but you also lose Mike Trout for the year. And if you are not following the story closely, as most Angels fans are, you certainly have heard that Mike Trout is hurt. And we see here Tyler, who I don't think is an Angels fan because I've never seen him before, probably a guy who's here as a national guy. Welcome. He says Trout is never healthy. And it does not take someone being super zoomed into the Angels to know that that is a true statement. That is not an exaggeration. Like I said earlier, Mike Trout has not played 122 games in a season since 2019. Since 2019. He has now missed more games than he's played in the last 4 years, which is brutal, absolutely brutal. And I'm going to quickly pull up the biggest stat of them all right here. In the second half of the season, meaning after the All-Star break, he's played this many games in the last 4 years. 0, 40, 1, and 0. So not only does he not play, not only is he always hurt, and certainly the Angels have not been in crazy playoff pushes, but when they did have Ohtani, when they did occasionally have Rendon actually play baseball and not sit in the dugout all game and make horrible quotes about not caring about baseball, Mike Trout has played 41 games combined in the second half of the season in the last 4 years. And I have been on the record, you can watch previous podcasts, of saying I think some of the commentary about Mike Trout is not fair. Talk about him not caring about the team, about him not prioritizing winning and prioritizing his stats and whatnot. I don't think that is fair. Like I've said, and I'll say it again, unless you are the most gifted athlete on planet Earth, there is no way that you win 3 MVPs and are one of the greatest players of your era without giving absolutely everything you have to the game of baseball. The argument can be made that he's given everything a little too much. Maybe he's gotten a little too strong, a little too bulky for an outfielder who tries to make diving catches, who tries to still be elite on the bases, who tries to make phenomenal plays, who tries to use his athleticism. Maybe he's gotten a little too strong up top. Maybe the shoulders are a little too wide. But once again, that is not a criticism of his effort, of his attention to detail, of his passion for baseball and for these Angels, who, by the way, these Angels have given him nothing. Let's be honest here. Sure, the last 4 years will absolutely hurt his legacy within our Angels community and overall, nationally, historically. Now there's questions. I'm reading headlines saying, is Mike Trout still a Hall of Famer? Sure, first ballot? Unanimous? When you suddenly don't play baseball for the last 4 years? Of course, this will taint his legacy. But one thing it should not taint is his, the legacy of his character, of his passion. He is not taking things easy in terms of caring about this team that, once again, has given him nothing. Because let's not forget, before these 4 years, Mike Trout won 3 MVPs and did not play a playoff game. All right? So I still do not appreciate, and I'm not being a homer, I'm not being defensive, I'm being unbiased. I don't love some of the conversations about Mike Trout. Now, if you want to talk about, like I said, him probably being a little too bulky up top, and not in an overweight way, because like I said, he gives everything to baseball, but in a maybe too muscular and strong way. Maybe the knees can't handle it. I will certainly criticize that. The latest talk has been this year about how he's not waiting until he's 90% to come back. He's maybe not taking the fastest recovery option, getting the quickest surgery or blah, 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 blah. There is a conversation that can be had about that. But even then, look what happens. He took arguably the most conservative route you could take with this meniscus injury, taking multiple weeks longer than the average person takes to come back. And he still re-injures it. And we don't know all the details. I don't know. Maybe we do. Honestly, I don't know what's come out in the last couple of hours. I was watching the game. But what I do know in the moment, earlier in the day when it was announced, is that this was not, at least what they're trying to say, is that this was not, a bad previous operation. It was not mishandled. It was just a coincidence. It's just bad luck that the same injury that just kept him out happened to be re-torn again. We'll never know. And based on the history of this franchise, based on the history of repetitive underfunding for the medical staff, underperformance from the medical staff, Anthony Rendon's a different story. I don't think the guy cares about baseball as much as Mike Trout. But it's not just Mike Trout. It's Ohtani. You can go down the list of all the guys that have been hurt for the Angels in recent years. And you have to make, correlation does not equal causation. Or maybe it's the other way around. I'm out of it. But the moral of the story is you can't know for sure, but this medical team, this franchise above all else, because I'm not going to blame it on one doctor, I'm going to blame it on the guy up top, Artie Moreno, has continuously failed this team, continuously failed players. Injuries have always lasted longer for us than other teams. People have always gotten injured more frequently than other teams. And Mike Trout is the greatest example, and he is not totally in the right. Like I said, there is certainly debates that can be had about if the decisions he's made about his body have helped him in the long run. Clearly they haven't if you've missed all those games. But this is just a summary of the Angels' experience. Your best player, your best character, the guy who's given everything for your franchise suddenly can't give your franchise anything. And it's just more proof, more evidence that, boy, did we fumble this trade deadline. You should have committed to the future and not the future being 2025, because the problem is the Angels historically have always thought that the future means the next year. No. When you have half your lineup, there's literally 2 guys in the Angels lineup right now hitting below 170. We literally have relievers starting. We have guys in Hans Crouse that were our saviors, but only because we had never heard of them before this season. Our best players have been other than Logan O'Hoppe, Kevin Pillar. Willie Calhoun at one point was the second best hitter on the team. And you're telling me this roster is maybe a year away from competing? Give me a break. And so the good news is that Mike Trout, he'll be back in 2025. And of course, it's not like this year matters in terms of wins and losses. You're about as low in the standings as you can be. But it's just more reason that it makes no sense that more players were not traded at the deadline. Because as much as we expect Mike Trout to come back, and as much as we hope he actually plays half the year I'm not even asking for the whole year. I'm asking for half the year at this point. Even with that, he's still a rusty Mike Trout coming off another season-long injury with a roster that is going to finish maybe with 100 losses. This team is not doing anything in 2025. I'm sorry. I hate to break it. This team is not a player away. We kept, people in certain circles were trying to say that we were Mike Trout coming back away. No, we are a whole lot away from competing anytime soon. And boy, does this day show it in so many regards. Not only the Trout injury, but the loss, the collapse, the mismanagement, certain guys pitching that shouldn't even be pitching in certain moments. This is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Now, I'm way over time because quite an eventful day. We'll quickly speed through these comments. Angels win, says tough loss, tough day to be an Angels fan. Absolutely. Shout out to Jeff, always in here. He says another loss. He's always checking in from work. Appreciate you. Anaheim Angel, exactly. 53 more games of this. Please, for the love of God, no. Just lose. At this point, just lose 4-0. I cannot take a game like this where you're up 4-2 and blow it. Foot Alex says, DFA, some relievers, for real. Sell Taylor Ward for anything. Well, it's too late now. Deadline already passed. But yeah, he says next season, he clarifies. Yeah, honestly, you should have sold everybody. Anthony Jimenez says, different season, different body parts, same outcome, season-ending injury, talking about Trout. And that's the part that makes me say it is still, at the end of the day, a lot of bad luck. It's not one body part that he maybe isn't properly treating. Sure, this season it happens to be the same injury months ago that he re-injures or maybe injures a separate, complete new time. But at the end of the day, it's been a multiple body parts. Is usually the lower body, which, like I said, you can have the conversation about him being a little too strong, which is ironic to say. But yeah, it's just bad luck at the end of the day, and it really just hurts. It sucks for him. It sucks for us as fans. Because let's be honest, even when we're 15 games under 500, we'd be a little more happy if we could see Mike Trout play baseball. It felt great watching him hit 10 home runs this year in 29 games, even when we were losing, even when we knew the season was going to mean nothing. Man, absolutely more conversation from Fud Alex about needing to sell. Anthony Jimenez says, nice banners. Another unplanned thing that worked out great. Today, no matter what, I promised all of you guys that the new room was going to be decked out properly. And it just so happens to be the day that I'm on all of these extra YouTube channels. So that's perfect. Yes, Fud Alex, I did get my jersey signed at UCLA, the Brazil jersey. Hopefully you can catch out those signatures. I also got the Pulisic signed jersey right there. The KD jersey in the back, also signed, also at UCLA. The perks of going to UCLA. You see a lot of famous athletes. We already saw Skylar's comment about Ben Joyce needing to be the closer. Anaheim Angel said he missed Joyce pitching in the 8th. So when I started watching the 9th and saw Strickland, I shook my head and sure enough, exactly. Tyler says, total joke job, had the Angels to win. Really bad outcome, up 4-2 with 2 outs. Absolutely. Skylar, a first-year Angels fan. Wow. Welcome to pain. Michael says, as long as number 6 is on the team, they will never win. They are cursed since giving this guy the worst contract in the history of sports. It really is, and now this Mike Trout contract doesn't look much better, honestly, at least in the near future. Need new doctors. They always seem to misdiagnose injuries. The blame goes to Artie Moreno. It doesn't go to one doctor. It goes to the guy up top who has done everything wrong. And Warbird TBF says, it's amazing with how mediocre this club is, especially with the pitching. They don't have a Chicago White Sox type record. They're getting there. It's not quite that bad because at the end of the day, the White Sox, like the Marlins, like other teams, they know that they're no good and they play young guys, even if they're not the best guys in the lineup. The Angels still try to play all their best players every night, even if they're 40, because they have this delusional thing that they think they're going to win games, and they care more about entertaining the fans in the stands than maybe entertaining fans in the stands 2 years from now by planning for the future and trying to win games. The record isn't great. It isn't as bad as the White Sox, but it is not great. But with all that being said, a really, really long show today. Try to keep it around 30 minutes. Usually go a minute or two over. Today, way over, but just a lot to talk about. Also, a special circumstance with all the channels we are streaming to. But with all that being said, Angels lose 5-4. They also lose Mike Trout for the season. I'm Gavin Carlson. This was the Locked On Angels Postcast. If you are new, please leave a like on whatever YouTube channel you're getting this on. Subscribe to whatever YouTube channel you're getting this on. And if you're new, also, head on over to Locked On Angels Postcast. After every single Angels game, I will be here breaking down the game, talking about baseball as a whole. Clearly, we don't just talk about the Angels. We talk about what it means for the future of the team and really for the league, to be honest. So thank you so much to everybody, all the new people, all the returners. I appreciate you all so, so much. Once again, I'm Gavin Carlson. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. Have a great upcoming weekend. And for you Angels fans and for everybody else, I'll be back here after every single Angels game as always. Take care, everybody. And whether you like the Angels or not, go Halos. Good night, everyone.